In this video we discuss the problems at Superbike Factory. Now before we start, please do consider liking and subscribing. It really does help us create future content. And as always, we do not use AI content in any of our videos. If I did, I'd give myself a better voice. Well, it looks like another large motorcycle outlet is about to go out of business, quite possibly anyway. So this morning I sat down in my shed in the middle of tidying up, so excuse the mess, to discuss what I think may be the factors that are behind it. Well, I've come on down to the bike shed to discuss the big news of the moment, and that of course is the collapse of the Superbike Factory. It's one of a huge number of massive dealerships, these sort of bulk dealerships that grew up in recent years, so the last decade or so. And they're largely responsible, of course, for putting a lot of smaller companies out of business, to give some historical perspective. A lot of those small backstreet dealerships, whilst they could probably compete on price, almost certainly could have done, they simply didn't have the range. I mean, it's very understandable. You know, if you're going out and shopping, you don't really know what you're looking for necessarily. You just want a superbike and you just want to browse a bunch of bikes. Well, there's a huge choice. You know, if you get there and you've got a massive choice, or you can go to your local dealership that has very little choice. It's a bit of a no-brainer if you're looking for a used bike, isn't it? You're going to go to the place that actually has a massive amount of choice, and that's exactly what happened, of course, and that squeezed out a lot of small businesses, which wasn't great for local communities, I don't think. It wasn't great for biking in general. I think biking relies on sort of local communities. This sort of community of motorcyclists was something that in some ways those mass companies developed. Those mass companies killed off, really, and it's something that we've seen in the college. It's very much, the establishment is something that's very much followed a car model, really. There's been a lot of these massive car dealerships that have had similar effects on small car sellers too. But what's gone wrong? I mean, it's a company with a turnover of over £80,000 a year, it's said, but it still looks like it's going to go under. So what has gone wrong? Well, I suspect there's a lot of factors. Unless you've got a situation where somebody runs up with all the money, in most situations it's a death of a thousand cuts for business. There's no one factor which puts a business to the sword, and there's no good pretending that there is. It's never that simple. But there's certainly some factors that people won't find popular and don't want to talk about, and there'll be other factors that, you know, we've just got to be realistic about. You know, some are fairly obvious, but there's certainly some that people will sort of go, no, it's not. You know, but if we don't discuss them, it's disingenuous, isn't it? Well, first off, of course, there's the financial crunch. I mean, if we're looking at main factors for the financial crunch, unfortunately, I have to say it's going to be Brexit. I know everybody gets on the high horse about it, but it's not 4% of the economy, and it's probably the reason why we keep having a revolving door of prime ministers in reality, because people can't actually fix the damage that a lot of us have caused for our own hubris, I'm afraid. And I know people want to deny it and want to blame lots of other factors, but it simply isn't. You know, it knocks about 4% of the economy, to give you some idea. That doesn't sound a lot, but in reality, you know, even Mr. Trump's best work has carved a fraction of 1% off the British economy, or even the oil crisis at the moment. They've taken a fraction of 1% for the British economy. So 4% is massive, and it's something we can't ignore. I know it's not popular, but we can't ignore it. I suppose the biggest single factor really is going to be their business model. You know, their general business model is to sell lots and lots of very expensive bikes, or actually not to sell huge amounts of expensive bikes. You know, the nature of the business, you know, Superbike Factory very much indicates that they're somebody that tended to sell initially sports bikes, superbikes, that kind of thing. And of course, it's a market that's very much diminished. And indeed, the motorcycle market in general, in reality, has been in decline since the late 50s, early 60s. You can say year by year you'll get fluctuations. You get some years where sales are slightly better, but overall, the overall pattern has been going increasingly down, really for decades. It's one of the factors that actually killed off the British industry classically. And it's not something to ignore. If you look at the best-selling bike in Britain now, I think they sell about 1,700 bikes, something like that. I think the best-selling model, which compared to a few decades ago, that would be laughable, really. It was so low. And if you're looking at once you get down to third and fourth best-selling bikes, you're into a few hundred, which is a joke. Velocet, for example, was a tiny company, and the Venom probably would have been about third place in Britain's sales terms today, which is laughable, really, isn't it? It just shows you the state of decline that it's in. There are lots of reasons for that. We know, people have affordable cars, did huge damage to the British car industry, and the general reputation with people is not good for motorcycles, and that's certainly something that's affected us adversely, isn't it? If we consider their sales model, it's been very much about selling big expensive bikes, and the problem there is there's two things that have really done for them, I think. One has been the change of buying habits. The average biker these days is getting on a bit, let's be honest. An awful lot of them have been riding for a long time. It's usually with the big bikes. I seem to think there's a sort of inverse law that applies. The less experienced you are, the bigger the bike you buy these days. The more experienced people have actually been riding for decades and decades generally have started to downsize, because the more you ride, the less important huge power becomes. And that's a problem, obviously, for companies like Superbike Factory. They're relying on selling big, fast bikes for big money. And certainly with their model, with their huge warehouse, it's going to be a company with big overheads. So whilst they have a turnover of £80,000, their overheads would have been considerable compared to some of the smaller outlets. These big, swanky dealerships that we've got now cost a lot of money. There's a lot of ground rent, there's a lot of other factors behind them. They're expensive. They're expensive to run. And that's going to negatively impact on your business if your sales start to slow down. And certainly what we've found, that even if you are selling bikes, and particularly the classic market, and the market generally, used bikes these days are selling for a lot less than they were 2 or 3 years ago. Why is that? Well, one of the factors is there's now a lot more bikes than riders. So, supply and demand has now tipped the other way. It's certainly true in the classic market, and it's true in the used bike market too. So because there's been that switch of supply and demand, that's not to the advantage of the dealerships anymore. And certainly in the classic market, we can see that prices have come down a lot, and dealerships that don't accept that are the ones that are going to go out of business, or the ones that can, because of course obviously bringing your stock in has cost you a huge outlay. So if you're someone like Superbike Factory, you've got a huge amount of stock that's worth a lot of money, but it's kind of dead money because you're not able to sell it at a decent profit, and that's a huge factor. And I suppose the other reason, apart from the fact that the fact that sales have gone down for them, is the fact that with modern PCP and other systems, people are able to buy motorbikes now, new motorbikes, for an awful lot less money, or they can afford much bigger bikes new than they could a few years ago. I mean, the reality is, of course, it's a kind of silly system because you don't really own the bike at the end of it. But to some people, that's not a huge factor. The fact that they've got to change bikes every 3 years or change cars every 3 years, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter to them. It just doesn't matter. They just want to have the latest bit of kit. So people can now suddenly afford new bikes, and that's exactly what's happening, of course. And that is a problem if you're Superbike Factory, because they're selling used bikes that are still pretty darn expensive. But they're also selling used bikes that are pretty darn expensive, and people can now afford new bikes instead. If you've got a choice of very expensive used bike or an affordable, albeit because of PCP system, new bike, you're probably going to go with the new bike. There's a better warranty, you've got better backup, and in both cases, if you look at it, Ducati from 3 years ago, from Superbike, or from Superbike Factory, or if you look at a Ducati brand new from Ducati, in both instances, the services are going to be eye-wateringly expensive. So you're not really going to save any money in those senses. One of the most expensive things about buying a modern bike, of course, is the servicing costs. And buying one used, it might mean the thing's not far away from its service, and that's a huge outlay, which is a factor you really do have to consider when buying a used bike these days, unless you're going to buy something very simple, which of course is where the market is headed to a large extent. The other thing that's really adversely affecting is the change in the market. Bike sales have increased slightly over the last 12 months, but it's not really to the benefit of companies like Superbike Factory, and that's simply because the kind of machines that people are buying are smaller. They're the Triumph 400s, the Royal Enfields. They're smaller, simpler machines, largely because we're looking at older riders who are worried about lugging around hugely uncomfortable superbikes and the vast expense that's involved in keeping them on the road. And also because some of these bikes, so something like a Royal Enfield, you can service yourself, and that saves an awful lot on servicing costs, and that's something you can ignore. But the simple demographic of the riders is a problem for Superbike. You know, as we all know, as you get older, wrapping yourself around a Ducati, not a lot of fun, to be honest. You know, I'm not that old, but I have got 2 crappy shoulders from accidents, and you know, I don't want to be draping myself around an uncomfortable superbike. I just don't. And we can see that there has been that huge move away from superbikes generally. Sales of superbikes now are pretty poor towards things like GS's and adventure bikes. But even those bikes have become eye-wateringly expensive, even in the used market. So a lot of older, more experienced riders are looking at those smaller bikes. And the problem when people downsize is that obviously smaller bikes don't make the companies, or Superbike Factory even, as big a profit. You sell them for a lot less money. They still take a certain amount of money to manufacture. There isn't that big a difference in manufacturing costs. So they represent less profit. So there's less profit all round in the industry. And let's face it, when you visit Superbike factories, a lot of bikes there. There aren't many affordable bikes there. It's a lot of very expensive stuff that's older. And a lot of people have moved away from those kind of bikes now, which I completely understand. You know, I ride a lot of old classic bikes, and they're a lot simpler to live with. You know, they don't break down nearly as much as people think. They're easy to ride, they're easy to maintain. They cost me very little over the course of a year compared to a superbike. The servicing cost of a superbike, after 2 years servicing cost of a superbike, I could actually go out and buy another bike. That's the state of the market at the moment. And I think, you know, the whole model now does not fit probably in the modern motorcycle market. People want simpler, cheaper motorcycles, lighter and smaller, more compact. These are lower profit bikes for the various companies. And for Superbike Factory selling big, expensive bikes, it simply doesn't fit. Why would you go to Superbike Factory and buy something at a high cost that's old when you can buy something that's smaller, lighter and easier to use? Or if you do want to go big, you can probably afford new on PCP. Now, whether you like PCP finance or not, I personally think you spend a lot of money and end up with no bike at the end of it. And I tend to be a long-term owner, to give you some perspective. But those are not good news for Superbike Factory, are they? So those are probably some of the factors that have led to their downfall. And certainly their overheads of large establishments like that cannot be ignored. Big wage bills, just the ground rent and all those factors are hugely expensive when you've got a huge place like that. You know, it's not cheap to maintain something like that. And if you're not selling bikes, if you haven't, you've got to have a lot of money coming in just to remain profitable, and clearly that's not what's been happening. Can they adapt? Can they revitalise and adapt? I don't know. I think the fact is they're still going to have these huge outlays in terms of ground rent and things like that. They're not going to be able to escape those factors, and they're not going to be able to do anything about those, are they? So it's very difficult to see how they're going to survive in a shrinking market that's looking for machines, the kind of machines that they don't necessarily specialise in or sell. So although obviously it's sad news for the people employed there, and let's see what happens. Obviously we don't know at this point what's going to happen? Is it part of an overall pattern? Well, in recent years it seems to have been. A lot of those huge dealerships, a lot of those very modern dealerships that have set up, have gone under in recent years. And I think maybe the motorcycle market needs to look at itself, think about the kind of products that it's selling, and also where it's selling them from. Selling from huge car-sized dealerships and following a kind of car model when the sales are so small, to me doesn't make any sense. What other bikes or indeed subjects would you like to see us cover in a future video? Maybe get a bike we can use for a test ride. Either way, do get in touch below. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, thanks for watching.